Well, our big focus tonight, the high-stakes Lok Sabha and Assembly bypolls from UP to Maharashtra. The big one is the Lok Sabha constituency of Kairana in UP, where 4 opposition parties have come together in the hope of defeating the BJP. This is the seat many believe will signal what kind of a fight the 2019 general election will be. But today's polling is marred by large-scale reports of EVM malfunctions, VVPATs specifically. Has this cast a shadow on this election? And later on tonight, as Sushma Swaraj lists the Modi government's 4-year achievements on foreign policy, has it been a hit or a miss? Has India's policy towards Pakistan, China, the US and other key countries been a diplomatic success or failure? But first tonight, these are the big bypolls after the Phulpur and Gorakhpur Lok Sabha by-elections held earlier this year, in which the BJP suffered shock defeats. So there's a lot at stake in Kairana in UP. This is the seat that's held by the BJP, but this time all 4 opposition parties have come together. The BSP, the SP and the Congress all backing the RLD candidate. It's a seat that many believe will truly test what opposition unity could mean in the next general election, which is why the campaign here has been so high profile. Today, however, as polling took place, the opposition complained about the large-scale malfunctioning of EVMs, particularly VVPAT machines. What are VVPAT machines? Well, these machines are used to verify that the vote polled by a voter goes to the correct candidate. This allegation of a malfunction wasn't just confined to UP, though. It was made by the NCP in the Maharashtra bypoll as well. The Election Commission says the machines couldn't take the heat and denied any large-scale problem. The results come out this Thursday.
Faulty voting machines being replaced in the high-profile, closely fought Kairana Lok Sabha seat in Uttar Pradesh. Here it's the BJP versus the rest of the opposition, and the stakes are high.
जितने भी मुस्लिम्स जो है एरिया ज़्यादा हैं और जहाँ लाइनें ज़्यादा मुस्लिम्स की लगी हैं, वहाँ की मशीनें खराब सवेरे ही हो गई थी.
मेरे समर्थक वापस लौटे हैं बिना वोट डाले, हजारों की संख्या में.
It was the same story in Nurpur, where the Samajwadi Party said about 175 EVMs and VVPATs allegedly didn't work. The UP Election Commission said this time around an unprecedented number of replacements were made. In the 2 Maharashtra Lok Sabha constituencies where the BJP is fighting to come back, political parties said that 35 EVMs and 98 VVPATs did not work. The NCP's Praful Patel in fact alleged that a quarter of the voting machines failed in the Bandara Gondia seat.
300 मशीन 2000 में से अगर खराब है तो उसका मतलब ये स्पष्ट होता है कि ये पूरी प्रक्रिया एक मजाक बन गई है. पूरे देश में अभी जो उपचुनाव हो रहे हैं उसके नतीजों को अभी न खोला जाए जब तक कि सब एक साथ में उस दिन का काउंटिंग हो.
All day a political controversy simmered, with parties like the BJP, the SP and the RLD going to the Election Commission complaining about EVMs and VVPATs not working.
हमने चुनाव आयोग से आग्रह किया था कि मतदान की समय सीमा को बढ़ाया जाए. जहां पर अत्यधिक गड़बड़ी के विषय वो बूथ हमने सौंपे हैं और चुनाव आयोग से निवेदन किया है कि वो ऑब्जर्वर को भेज करके उसकी जांच कराएं, जहां आवश्यक वहां पुनर्मतदान कराएं.
यही मांग की है कि 1.5 घंटे से ज्यादा अगर बंद रहा है तो कल कराएं और कम रहा है तो उन्हें टाइम दें.
The EC didn't extend the voting time and dismissed the allegations. It said it was an exaggeration, EVMs didn't work due to severe heat conditions, allegations over non-functioning EVMs in specific areas was baseless, and the Commission took steps to correct the situation.
Earlier you saw Election Commission talk to NDTV and say that excessive heat was a problem. I don't see heat being a problem for these machines at 7 in the morning.
While the controversy over the malfunctioning voter machines might have brought these particular opposition allies in this election even closer, in Maharashtra, the Shiv Sena and the BJP's relationship has perhaps become even further strained. But it is only the result on the 31st of May of these bypolls that will reflect which out of the BJP or the Grand Alliance is a more promising ally. In Kairana with Ashwini Mehra, Amitoj Singh for NDTV.
Well, joining us here in the studio is Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India. Our political panelists this evening, Manish Tiwari of the Congress Party, Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party, Vaibhav Agarwal of the BJP, and Mr. Desh Ratan Nigam, who is the political analyst and senior lawyer, is with us as well. Dr. Qureshi, to you first. What exactly is going on here? Does it surprise you, the large number of complaints that the opposition is making about the failure of these machines? And what do you think in particular of the Election Commission's explanation?
There are 2-3 things which we should understand. One, the malfunctioning today was of VVPATs and not of the EVMs. Because EVMs are solid state machines, VVPAT have moving parts, electromechanical. When we were planning to introduce a VVPAT, that was our concern even at that stage. It happened in my time in 2011.
Which was what? That it had the potential to break down.
Yeah, whether we should introduce VVPAT and what are the pitfalls and what will be the problem. And we were conscious that since they are electromechanical devices which have moving parts, they are likely to go out of order sooner than the solid state machine. To give you an example, your calculator has functioned very well for last 5 years, but your printer, how many times in the last 1 week it must have jammed. There are lots of problems, so that was understood, that was expected. Then we have to replace the machine within half an hour, that is our policy. In fact, when the trial was done in my time in 5 different cities, in 5 different weather conditions, including Jaisalmer, in Kerala for coastal region, in Cherrapunji if you please, and in Delhi, to see that whether all it can withstand all weather conditions. But at that time 40% machines reported bugs. So obviously it was
in what, in heat?
No, with different conditions, because it was not everything was not in heat. One is Ladakh also, right? So all different kinds of problem, because they were still experimenting with the machine. You know, some breakdown, the paper jam, the toner disappears and things like that. We sent them back to the drawing board and we said to correct them. 6 months later, we conducted exactly in the same place, the whole day mock poll to see their function, and they function fine. After that, they've been functioning all right. As late as last month in Karnataka, they all function very well. But therefore, in that context, 200, 250 going out of order. Number one, Election Commission, while calling it exaggerated, should have given the figure that it is not 250 but 10, 20,
which they haven't. Which they haven't.
Which is the mistake. In fact, the mistake of Election Commission has been lately that they are not very communicated. They should come out. The nation wants to hear them. The explanation from Election Commission will take precedence of 100 experts. They should come out with it. So I'm sure tomorrow, day after, they will come out with a detailed report on this. There is a committee of Election Commission has talked of a committee of experts. There are 5 professors of 5 different IITs of India, top IITs. They work pro bono for us. The entire technology is first endorsed by them. Unless they stamp it, we don't even look at it, we don't touch it. And they will also go into this because they had cleared the VVPAT and they have functioned all fine.
So I think what you're saying is that the Election Commission's response to this needs to be better, and they need to essentially set any doubts to rest. Even though, yes, VVPATs can fail because they are machines and machines can break down. The interesting thing though, Manish Tiwari, is that all these complaints that we have seen throughout the day about the machines have not come from the BJP. They're all from the opposition, which would lead some to ask the question about whether these complaints are, political in nature. Why is the BJP not complaining about it? If it's something that's breaking down, it should affect everybody.
Well, that's a question you need to ask the BJP, Nidhi. I cannot answer on behalf of the Bharatiya Janata Party as to why they've decided not to complain. In fact, it leaves a very pregnant preponderance of probabilities hanging in the air, in a portentous and an ominous ring to it, a street which I would not like to go down at the moment. Rather than that, I like to focus on something which is far, far more fundamental. I have great respect for Mr. Qureshi, huge personal respect, but I am a little perplexed that why has the Election Commission and even former election commissioners, made it a passion to defend EVMs and to defend VVPATs, with so much of vociferousness. Under Article 324 of the Constitution of India, the Election Commission is charged with the remit of superintendence over the election process. But the Election Commission is not the only stakeholder in the democratic process. It is at best supposed to play the role of a fair arbiter. And when repeatedly, not only stakeholders, but there is a spectre of uncertainty with regard to the efficacy of EVMs hanging in the air. Question is not whether they can be manipulated, but there is a belief that there is a possibility of their being manipulated. What's the problem with the Election Commission? Why can't they just go back to paper ballots? You know, after all, if all
Was
the
that
other
really a
stakeholders
better
in the
system,
democratic
Manish?
process are unhappy with EVMs
Were we
or
really better off
VVPATs,
with paper
so please
ballots
go
and
back
ballot
to,
boxes being stuffed?
to paper ballots.
No, but paper ballots did not stop rigging of elections in India in the past.
Well,
the ballot,
Nivya-
booth capturing was well known. Paper ballots were, you know, you would stuff ballot boxes with paper ballots. It wasn't that it was the most clean process. I mean, isn't it better to try and look ahead to see how you can, use EVMs, but
may
make
I
sure that
answer
all
that?
doubts are set to rest?
May I answer that straight off the bat? Let me take you back to the session years when you had the worst complaints of booth capturing and ballot stuffing. At a point in time when the entire electoral process in Bihar was cleaned out, there were no EVMs. You know, it was ballot boxes. So therefore, that's a question of how efficaciously you administer the whole process. It has nothing to do with paper ballots or EVMs. Let's not miss the wood for the trees.
No, and therefore paper ballots may not necessarily be the solution. Just using the argument that you have made, let me first, before I get Mr. Qureshi to take on that important point, let me get the other panelists to weigh in on that. Mr. Nigam, why is it that the BJP actually isn't complaining? I'll ask Vaibhav about that as well. But that it is the opposition, one after the other, which has complained of this sort of large-scale problems with these machines. And do you agree that the EC's response at the very least needs to be more robust?
See, I did see complaint by the BJP candidate on your own TV channel, and she also said about this problems in EVMs, and they also wanted the extension of time for voting. I heard that very clearly on your channel, and I certainly feel that the Election Commission should have been more proactive here. They should have been promptly, if there was a problem and people had grievances, they should come out with statements so that people's feelings are, calmed down, because this is a charged atmosphere. Even these machines are genuinely not working properly. The people need to be told that these are malfunctions. There is a possibility of malfunctions, and this lack of communication results into some kind of a doubt in the electoral process, which is not there actually. I trust my Election Commission. I am very clear about that. They have proven time and again. They have tested the difficult times and they have come out, and therefore let it not be politics of convenience that EVM is good sometime, EVM is bad sometime, depending on the results. So end of the day, I think some kind of an inquiry is required into this, why so many machines, because I don't have the exact number with me.
We only have what the opposition has claimed and some numbers that the UP Election Commission has given.
Some kind of investigation as to why this has happened. Heat could be a factor, as Mr. Qureshi pointed out, because of VVPAT, their electronic components are there which can get affected by the heat. But certainly, Mr. Qureshi very clearly pointed out, it is not the EVMs, it is the VVPAT that is having some problems.
In the times we live in, the VVPAT is perhaps sort of the most crucial verification tool that we have to fall back on. As you said, it's a very charged atmosphere, and you're calling for an inquiry. Vaibhav, do you agree with what Mr. Nigam says, that there needs to be an independent inquiry into why there has been this large-scale failure of these machines?
I would partly agree to what Mr. Nigam says here, but I would not agree in totality. Inquiry or not inquiry, it's absolutely the prerogative of the candidate and the party that is fighting for it and complaining for it, and between the party and the Election Commission. Now, the numbers have been published, certain numbers have been published on the UP Election Commission website already. But, to look at a larger perspective here, the perspective is very simple. You want paper ballots, there are paper ballots. But then those paper ballots cannot come in the shape and size that you want. Many people are asking for paper ballots. Akhileshji has tweeted, for example, and so on and so forth. But then, you want paper ballots, you'll get paper ballots, but you'll not get paper ballots in the shape and size you want. So does the VVPATs come in? You have the paper that is confirming your vote. Now, we can debate all we want. Karnataka elections happened when the opposition was forming the government and the unholy alliance. Nobody complained about the EVM. When Gorakhpur, Phulpur was there, nobody complained about the EVM. Just before the results, when they were losing, they complained about the EVM. But after the win, they never did. And so on and so forth. Now, the beauty of the EVMs going malfunction is absolutely rightly pointed out that it is not the electronic machine itself that is malfunctioning, and I'm not an engineer, so I would not want to comment on that also. Under what conditions, stress, dust, heat, whatever. I wouldn't want to comment on it. That's for the engineers to talk of. But as a user of the machine, I would rather say that I would absolutely concur with Mr. Qureshi's statement saying how many times my printer at home or in the office has gone bad in the past 1 week. You know, I absolutely
agree. But there's a bigger question here, Vaibhav, and that is about the sanctity of the electoral process. Why is it that increasingly questions are being raised on the sanctity of the electoral process? That's not good for our democracy.
Yeah, because increasingly the opposition, absolutely, I totally agree, but unfortunately this is one-sided allegation. I just pointed out a few examples where we did not win and the others won, and no hue and cry was created for EVMs, right? I hope you agree to this with me on that.
But let me ask Ghanshyam Tiwari about that.
Losing a winning battle is what the opposition sees.
Is it that whenever it's a tough battle, or where the opposition sees a challenge, Ghanshyam Tiwari, that the opposition starts talking more and more about machines malfunctioning?
Well, look at the backdrop. Prime Minister did a rally at a time when code of conduct was on in a neighboring district. Second backdrop, Ganna Banam Jinnah in Kairana, door to door, it is Ganna, the farmers were trumping BJP, their message of Jinnah. And third backdrop, that throughout the day, this whole malfunctioning of EVM, it was not the political parties that started reporting. It was people who visited the polling booth. They were fasting. A lot of people were fasting. They started reporting, and it was not just malfunctioning of EVM or VVPAT. Together, what happened was polling was stopped. The second thing they reported was high-handedness, in some cases lathi charge by the police. So the backdrop is that throughout the day, none of the BJP leaders complained. By evening, it was apparent that large-scale malfunctioning of EVM had happened. As a result, I believe that BJP went and complained about 68 or 67 booths where in two constituencies, assembly constituencies, where EVM had malfunctioned. 8 hours before that, Akhilesh Yadavji had tweeted about 5 assembly constituencies where these 145 EVMs had malfunctioned. So throughout the day we got this message, but BJP, which often tweets, even when a mosquito bites somebody in BJP, they tweet about it. Nobody tweeted anything. You look at what Shrikant Sharma said.
No. But can I ask you something? Are you guys saying that you have a fundamental objection to the fact that there is you believe it's a technical malfunction, or do you believe that there is more to it? Let me put it that way.
We believe that there is a systematic political approach that BJP took in this election is we will dissuade people from coming to the booth. The high-handedness of the police.
No, but are you saying that these machines were deliberately tampered with?
That is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the high-handedness of the police proved that the machines malfunctioned and BJP kept quiet about it. The Election Commission did not promptly come into play. Also confirmed that somewhere Election Commission chose to be passive about it at a time when it had to be very, very active. Kairana was a very charged political atmosphere. Election Commission could have been proactive, and as a result, all these conspiracy theories would not have emerged. The fact that BJP is ready to bend every rule gives credence to every conspiracy theory.
So, let me ask Shahid Siddiqui this. Shahid Siddiqui, you know UP better than anyone else. As a commentator, why are we seeing so many of these conspiracy theories now? I mean, you know, the last general election was in May, so was the one before that. Now, and we've had by-elections, you know, in very hot conditions. So, the EC's explanation about heat, does it hold up to you?
Nidhi, we have heard of these complaints since 1952. First we complained about the ballot papers, then we brought EVMs, then there were complaints about EVM. We were told that this will be resolved by the new machines which will produce this paper. Now we hear complaints about this as well, but the fact remains that there is a very serious problem. This time it is not the opposition which is complaining, even the ruling party is complaining, and the Election Commission doesn't seem to be as proactive as it was in the past, during Mr. Qureshi's time, during Mr. Langdo's time, during Mr. Sessions' time. So Election Commission has to be much more proactive. And secondly, what I would like to point out is that yesterday when the Prime Minister went to inaugurate this expressway I think it was a violation of the election code. It should not have happened. The election commission should have raised objections to that. That was not done. I don't mind having elections in Ramzan, but elections were held in Ramzan. Normally they are avoided, but they are held in Ramzan in this heat. People came out for hours in queues, and then they had to go back, and then now they are asked to come out at 6 or 7 or 8 at the time of iftar. So you can realize that a certain section cannot come out and vote again, but other sections can do that. So this is now manipulating the electoral process, and this manipulation of the electoral process is dangerous, not for Kairana, not for UP, but for our democracy, and therefore we have to be very serious. There should be a very independent commission, election commission should appoint a commission of independent experts which should go into this question and find a solution. Otherwise these questions will be raised again and again. We'll blame the opposition.
He's actually making a serious allegation against the institution of the EC itself. He's not the only one who's asking those questions, though.
See, one can understand malfunctions, but attributing motive is what I am questioning. Attributing motive that there is a manipulation and election commission is involved in it is something which is very dangerous. It should not happen. The independence of election commission should not be questioned. It should be trusted, and time and again election commission has proven its mettle.